Hi Yogi, and welcome to practice with me, Oceana. Today's class is really inspired by a request that I had from my longest standing student, Joanna. But I think a lot of you will find this useful. It's really intended as just a brief sequence that will allow your mind and body to gently unwind at the end of a long day, so that when you head into bed, you are settling in for a deeply restful night and hopefully will wake up feeling super refreshed in the morning. As you can tell, there's a few more props than we normally might use, and my personal suggestion would be that you get your entire evening routine out of the way, you hop into your pajamas, and you might even practice this right next to your bed, in which case you can substitute a lot of these things for your duvet, your pillows, etc. Make it super cozy. Otherwise, we'll need a blanket. We'll be using a brick, which you can always substitute with a thicker sort of hardback book. And we'll need a bolster, which you can substitute by rolling a few blankets together or a couple of pillows that you stack on top of each other. We'll get right into it and roll up our blanket here, which will then slide underneath the sitting bones so that we give our hips just a gentle elevation above the knees. And from here, we'll have the feet in front of us with the soles touching. And you can allow the soles of the feet to open up kind of like a book. Make sure that you have about 2 hand lengths distance from the heels to your torso. And we'll place the hands onto the shins. From here, as you inhale, rock onto the fronts of the sitting bones and have a sense that you're sort of almost drawing the center of your chest forward between the hands by gently pulling on them. You can lift the gaze just slightly. As you exhale, you're going to rock onto the backs of the sitting bones, almost very gently pressing the hands away so that you're rounding the spine and widening the space between the shoulder blades. As you inhale, rock forward, arch the spine to lift the chest. As you exhale, round back. And move through just a few more rounds in your own time, seeing if you can really match that movement to the length of your own breath, which can be slightly faster or slower than mine. And here, after this final round, we'll meet in a neutral spine position, which is somewhere in between those two extremes. We'll plant the hands behind or either side of the hips actually. And from here, we'll take the gaze over our right shoulder, and 3 times we'll nod the chin towards the shoulder. Doesn't have to go all the way. And if you wish, you could keep the chin tucked in. If you want to take the stretch a little bit further into the left side of the neck, then you gently allow your right ear to tilt back. And we stay just for a few rounds of breath here. On an inhale, bringing the head back to center, we'll take the gaze over past our left shoulder, and again 3 times here, nodding the chin. Then either keeping the chin tucked in or leaning the left ear back so that you get just a gentle tugging along that right side of the neck. Use your inhale to bring yourself back to center. From here, we'll straighten the left leg. We'll draw the sole of the right foot to the inner thigh. And notice if there's a lot of space here between your knee and the floor, then make sure that you support the knee with a brick or any kind of blanket or pillow. We really, at the end of the day, want the body to be able to release into the floor so that the muscles can slowly dissolve some of the tension that they might still be holding on to. We'll plant the hands behind the sitting bones here. And gently from here, as you inhale, reach your left arm all the way up and overhead. You can even bend your bottom elbow so that it takes you a little bit deeper into that side bend along the entire left side of the body. With your next inhale, use your top hand to bring yourself all the way upright. Plant both of your hands to the inside of your knees. And you can stay really nice and tall on your fingertips here. You could be working on lengthening up through the spine. You can always have a nice bend on your front knee if that makes it more bearable. Again, having a lot of strain on your hamstrings here and really pulling on them is almost too much of a sensation and will sort of overexcite your brain right now, which is not what we're after. So see if you can make it a really soft pose. Can you let your toes and foot be floppy? Maybe over time you can start to walk your hands forward. You might even be able to come all the way onto your forearms. But really not having any sort of goal-oriented mindset here. Just allowing the body to gradually soften down. And eventually walk the hands back in towards yourself. Support your right knee as you bring it up. And then we'll straighten the right foot. We'll draw the left knee in, and we'll open it out to the side. I had to think about that one. Again, from here, just for symmetry's sake, we'll support the knee with a brick or whatever you have at hand. We'll plant the hands behind the sitting bones. From here, as you inhale, we'll lift the right arm all the way up and overhead. Again, you can bend that bottom elbow to take yourself deeper into that side bend, really opening and lengthening through right side of the waist. And on an inhale, rising back up, planting both hands to the inside of the knees. If you need to, bend the front knee. If you like, stay really, really tall in this pose so that you are not going too deep into anything. And if you're a bit sort of overly flexible, you might gently walk the hands forward or bend the elbows. Maybe you come onto the forearms. And gradually with an inhale, walk the hands back in towards yourself. Now, again, support your right knee as you bring it back in. I'll turn sideways, it'll be slightly easier for you to see. So we're coming into another forward fold, but we'll make it a little bit more restorative and we'll stay for a little bit longer. So we'll stay on top of our blanket, but we'll slide a bolster or something that really bends your knees quite deeply under them, and place your heels at least hip distance, if not shoulder distance apart, so that you create enough space between the knees that, you know, essentially your belly could fit there. And you want your brick or something equally sort of has a little bit more of a harder surface nearby. And from here, option one again is to stay really nice and tall. You could even have the hands behind your sitting bones, growing a little bit taller through the chest here, which is a lovely option. If you want to take a little bit further, you could walk the hands forward and start to come into that fold. And if you're a little bit more flexible, you might be able to place a brick or higher object on top of your bolster, which will allow you to rest the forehead here. And you can simply allow the hands to rest down by the sides of the knees with the palms facing up. And maybe over time, or if you're very flexible, you could start to shimmy your belly between the thighs. And from there, you might be able to plant the brick onto the floor or your mat. And again, rest the forehead onto the brick. You can make sure that the arms are just relaxed by the side, maybe of your feet. And from here, especially with that pressure on the forehead, you might be able to get a sense that you're holding a little bit of tension in the front of the face. So maybe you've been holding a frown all day. Maybe people at the office have been particularly grating today. But now that you're aware of that tension in the front of the face, see if you can really let it soften and melt away. So maybe with the first exhale, you soften the front of your forehead. With the second exhale, you soften the space between the eyebrows. With your third exhale, you soften the muscles around the eyes and the cheeks. With another exhale, you soften the muscles that are sort of either side of the bridge of the nose. And as you exhale again, you release your lower jaw from the top jaw With the next exhale, you release the tongue from the top palate of the mouth. Gently from here, plant the fingertips to the floor, lift the head first, and then slowly walk your way upright. From here, we'll do a restorative back bend, which will very much be a counter pose to all the forward folding we've done. So it's a slightly more involved setup. So we'll bring the bolster right up to our sitting bones here and make sure that it's right at the base of the spine. We're sort of bookending the class with Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose. So again, we'll have the soles of the feet together with the soles spinning open. We'll have that 2 hand length distance again from the heels all the way to the torso, and the knees can sort of flop out to the side. Make sure that you have your blanket somewhere nearby so you can slip it underneath your head for support. From here, holding onto the bolster, I'm going to very slowly recline down. And once I get to the head and neck, I'm going to place the blanket under the head for support so that I create a nice slope in the spine here. And from here, you can spin the hands up by your side, palms facing up, and close the eyes if you're comfortable, or just soften the gaze. And again, see if with each exhale you can allow the back of the body to soften down a little bit more, to really, truly release into the props and the floor beneath you. Let the shoulders be heavy. Let the head be heavy. Let your knees descend without any sort of straining or pressure to achieve or do anything, just allowing gravity to do the work for you. And maybe here in this back bend you have a deeper sense that as you inhale, there's that real sense of expansion in the front of the body as the ribs widen and the chest lifts. And as you exhale, there's that stronger pulling of gravity drawing you down, but also almost a sense of melting away. And we'll stay for our last few rounds of breath here in silence. And to come out, we'll slowly tuck the chin in towards the chest. We'll slide the elbows back to support ourselves as we walk the hands back and come all the way up to seated. We can just remove the bolster completely, use the hands to support the knees as we bring them all the way up. And from here, gently roll your way all the way onto the back body. Again, you can use the blanket to support the head so that you don't just feel collapsed in the neck. You can shimmy the shoulders slightly under towards the spine. You could have the feet as wide as your mat with the knees dropping in so that you create a little bit of extra space in the lower back and the sacrum. And now options here are to either stay for a Shavasana, or you could already be climbing into bed. If you're staying for Shavasana, place the hands onto your belly. Really direct the breath towards your hands. So as you inhale, think about really lifting the hands just simply by using the breath. And as you exhale, let the space beneath the hands soften away towards the floor. And notice for a moment the state of your mind. So notice if there's still a lot of sort of storylines going on about what happened in your day, or you're rattling through the to-do list of everything you have to do tomorrow. And if that's happening, then you might choose to anchor your mind on something that's in the present moment. And usually the most easily tangible thing is often our own breath. So you might just be focusing on the movement or the sensations of the breath. But if that's a little bit abstract, then you can think about maybe counting the breath. So as you inhale, you very softly, gently say to yourself 10. And as you exhale, you very softly, gently say to yourself 9. And you can continue to count down the breath in this way until you get to 0. And then you might be able to let go of the counting and simply be. But if the mind starts to wander again, then you might return to the counting. And if your mind is empty and there's nothing really going on, then you could simply stay here and rest, maybe slowly drifting off. And this is where I'll leave you. Thank you so much for joining me in practice today. I hope to see you back on the mat very soon. Namaste, Yogi.